financial literacy. I know that you had two other very good sessions to choose from, but obviously we think you've made the right choice, and we're looking forward to having a really interesting discussion with our three panelists and hearing from you as well, your comments and your questions. I know some of you at the back may have difficulty seeing some of the slides, so while there are still some seats up front, I do encourage you to move further up, because I think it'll be better in terms of your ability to see what our panelists are talking about. We don't have as much time, obviously, because we've had to push back the schedule. So we're going to go quite quickly through our presentations, because we do want to leave some time for Q&A at the end, so please keep some questions in mind. And I'm going to be quite tough on my panelists on time management, so watch out. So I'm going to just do a very quick introduction. I work for Citi in Asia Pacific, based in Singapore. As you can see from attending AMF, Citi is a big supporter of microfinance, but we're also a very big supporter of financial education, which we more increasingly now refer to as financial capability. And in Asia alone, about a third of our funding and our programs now go into financial capability. So it's a significant area for us alongside microfinance. And in fact, our interest in this area really came out of the work that we were doing in microfinance. So even though we now support youth programs and programs for low-income adults in many different kinds of economies, I think the core of our support in this area came out of financial literacy for micro-entrepreneurs. And in particular, in 2004 was when we held the first regional gathering of financial education for women, again, focusing very much on microfinance. So it's great that, 6 years from now, there's definitely much more increased interest in this area. It's not as peripheral as it used to be. We've started to see it become more mainstreamed. We also feel that the financial crisis, in an ironic way, has actually helped us. Before the financial crisis, I think there was still a lot of people who didn't really even understand the concept of financial education. Now we don't have to spend so much time explaining it. I think pretty much everybody agrees the vast majority of the world's population probably needs some kind of financial education. So that's certainly helped our cause. But having said that, I think there's still a lot of work to be done, and that's why I'm particularly pleased that we've got three panelists here today who have experience in financial education programs in different ways. And they're going to be talking quickly about what they're actually doing in financial education, but then also give us some commentary and their thoughts on what are really some of the cost benefits of implementing financial education for their clients, and what are some of the challenges of doing so, and do they really think it's the MFIs that should be doing this? Is it really their responsibility, or should there be other stakeholders that are helping to educate their clients? So a lot of questions that I know they're going to try and help to answer. And so let me first introduce you to our first speaker, who is Benita Sarah Matthew. Benita, she's the manager for research and development for ESAF, Microfinance and Investments Limited in India. She's based in Kerala, but the organization covers 9 states in India. She's worked for ESAF for 3.5 years, and she focuses on programs in health, education, microfinance, and she has a special interest in behavioral economics, which is clearly an underpinning of financial education. And so we're going to hear from Benita about the financial education programs that ESAF is involved in, and which has, I think, been developed and implemented over the last 2 years. So please join me in welcoming Benita.
Thank you, Pauline. And it's an honor to be here to share with you the views about financial literacy and how it contributes towards financial inclusion as a whole. And I'm very glad to see that all 4 of us are women panelists. It's quite a surprise and pleasant also to see that. So without much ado, I will just get into the topic and share with you my views on and my experience with ESAF, how financial literacy is relevant and how it contributes towards financial inclusion. Before delving into the topic directly, we cannot avoid or ignore the fact that we as researchers, investors, microfinance practitioners, development professionals are all working towards one goal, that is human development. And there have been definitions from the past on what development means to each one of us, and each institution has defined it in different ways. So when we summarize all of these points, and we are trying to improve the living standards and access to all basic needs, and also trying to provide an enabling environment which is stable for people to develop and grow in whichever aspect they want to. It is also the ability for people to make informed choices. They are able to have a variety of choices from which they're able to choose. It is not a forced decision upon them. And also to participate in democratic environment, to have a say in one's future. And related to financial implications, as we come across the next slides, that there are a lot of factors that affect today's development context. What are those factors? Education. We can see the different levels of education that people are trying to achieve. It is not limited to just graduation or other one level of education. All around the world, there has been a rapid change in the education levels that people have tried to achieve. Globalization, which has enabled people to move around across the world and in between countries and within the country also. So migration is one aspect that is also affecting the development context today. Higher disposable income among all groups of people, whether it is a low income, middle, or the higher income people. Also, there is a bridging of gap between the urban-rural divide. It could be due to globalization, urbanization. All of these have attributed towards having a very thin line between the rural and urban divide. Also, people are nowadays aware about their rights. They're trying to know what are their rights in a country as a citizen, and whether it is consumer rights or different types of rights. And there has been a lot of development initiatives across the world to achieve the Millennium Development Goals. Who are the clients that we as development practitioners are working with, or who are we dealing with? They are the poor and lesser privileged sections of society. And some figures say worldwide 3 billion people still live on less than $2.5 a day. And the worldwide unbanked market is estimated to be excess of 2 billion people. And speaking in terms of Indian context, an overwhelming 61% of rural Indian population is still unbanked. And it's taken from the State of the Sector report for India. And the literacy rate of India is 64%, and out of which half of the women population are illiterate. And most of us microfinance institutions are working mostly with 95 to 100% with women. And so this is quite relevant when we think about financial inclusion and financial literacy. So what is financial literacy, considering all these development contexts? It is the awareness, knowledge, and skills to make decisions about savings, investments, borrowings, expenditure, etc., in an informed manner. Generally speaking, we can say that financial literacy is to know about there is a need for awareness on rights and procedures within a country. If you are aware about what are the procedures, what are the systems, or what are the laws that you can abide by or use them to avail justice. It also helps in smoothing household income vis-a-vis expenditure planning, which is very important for even low income or any income level household. To minimize frauds and malpractices in society, according to the Reserve Bank of India, it helps in doing so. Among the microfinance clients, how is it very relevant? It helps them to manage personal finance. It also helps them to access informed and wiser investment opportunities. And above all, it helps them to also avoid over-indebtedness, which is very crucial in today's times, because there is an exponential growth of MFIs, financial service providers, across the world. Meanwhile, we are also trying to free them from these ubiquitous money lenders. That is one goal of microfinance. But there is a growth of microfinance institutions. As today in the session, they were also saying there are a lot